Hey, what's going on, champs? I'm Aaron Deliosa. Welcome to an Immigrant's Life podcast, my podcast about immigrants and immigration and everything in between. Thank you for listening and downloading the show, and thank you for supporting my dad.
Welcome back, Immigrant Nation. Another week, another new episode. Thank you for always being here. And if you are new here, welcome to our humble yet powerful community. If you must know and if you want to reach out, follow me on all the socials. Our handle is at @AnImmigrant'sLife. You can also email me at @animigrantslife@yahoo.com. If you want to come on the podcast or if you know someone that wants to be a guest on the podcast, that's the best way to get in touch with me. Of course, you can listen to all the episodes wherever you get your podcasts, even on YouTube. And while you're there, please subscribe and give us a 5-star rating. You don't know how much the simple gesture helps us reach more ears, and it makes Apple or Spotify keep us on the top of the list and make us more visible. So please do me a favor and show us some love that way. The business part is done. Now let's talk about the episode. I'm excited for you to listen to this episode, as this episode is like a love letter to New York, where our guest resides, and a place he literally serves every day. You will pick so much knowledge on this one, so let's not waste more time. Without further ado, let's get into the show. Isa, dalawa, tatlo. Today's guest is a firefighter by day and an actor by night. He's jacked like Dwayne Johnson and as good looking as Idris Elba. Everyone, please welcome Jahsee Pickering.
Hey guys, thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you. I really appreciate this. Very special for me. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Oh, we appreciate it, man. Thank you for coming on.
No, it's again, like I said, this is my first time kind of doing something like this. I'm very excited. The nerves are going inside, but it's good energy. It's nervous energy. It's something that I want to use and try to be open and honest and actually. Hopefully, whoever's listening out there, if there's one person I could reach and he hears my story and take something away from it, that would mean something to me.
Definitely. Do you want to say your Instagram so if someone wants to reach out?
Yeah, my Instagram is jah.pick, JAH.PICK. It's a shortened of my first name, Jahsee, my last name, Pickering. So jah.pick on Instagram.com. And that's probably the best way to reach me if anybody has any questions or wants to reach out to me.
Beautiful. That's your real name, Jahsee?
Jahsee, yes.
Okay.
It is Swahili in origin. It means a wonderful child. The way it's spelled is Rastafarian. Jah is God in Rastafarian. Jah sees, God sees. So my parents put a lot of thought into that one.
I like it, man.
Very proud of it.
I love it. Some people, they don't like their names,
It took me a while to get to really fully embrace it, but like people say it wrong all the time when they see it, even though it's phonetic, Jahsee, Jahsee. So for the longest time I would like dismiss it like, oh, don't worry. I'm like, but now like I kind of grown into it. Like I'm very proud of it. Like my parents gave me this name. It's my name. It's the only thing you really have in this world is your name and your honor. So when people, I'll take some time if it's annoying. Like, no, my name is Jahsee. They call me Yasi. No, Jahsee. So yeah, I'm very proud of it. Try to honor my parents for the work that they put in.
Yeah, I mean, it's a unique name. I love the meaning too.
Thank you.
Oh, speaking about your parents, tell us about your ethnic background.
So my father is he's from the British Virgin Islands. He's from an island called Tortola. He's Rastafarian, very dark, dreadlocks down to his waist. And my mother is Norwegian, Hungarian, and German. A white woman, blonde hair, blue eyes. And yeah, they're gave us a very mix of. There's 7. I'm one of 7 siblings. There's 7 of us. So I mean, we basically all look the same, but some of my complexion, some are lighter than me. My 2 sisters are lighter than me, and my brothers are pretty much my complexion.
How did they meet?
You know what? I don't really know. So these are the things, like my parents are very um they're very stoic, very to themselves. They didn't really speak too much about their background. I just picked up little tidbits here and there. I do know after they met, they were living in Harlem, and they to get by, they were making and selling jewelry. So my father would make them, and my mother would go out and sell them, like handmade, trinkets, earrings, bracelets. So that's pretty much what they did for a lot of years. Even when I was growing up, my father tried to teach me a little bit of jewelry making myself. I don't know how much I retained, but I was able to work with some tools and hammer some stuff out. And I just remember I'm originally from Staten Island. I just remember taking the ferry from Staten Island to Manhattan. My mother having this case of jewelry, just walking back and forth trying to sell some jewelry, to make ends meet. And yeah, so it was I'm not sure exactly how they met, but I know that's pretty much the story from when they were together.
What's the material of the jewelries?
It was like silver, copper, nothing like gold. It was, we didn't have that much money for that, but like, he would buy like sheets of this, sheets of like sterling silver and copper. I'm not sure about bronze, whatever kind of looked nice, right? And you like the sheet, he would cut it out, he would kind of like shave it down, put a hand design in it, like with a hammer and a chisel basically, and yeah, pretty much unique handmade stuff. I think my mother still kind of does somewhat handmade jewelry still. She's retired, so she needs she's using that to spend her days kind of still staying active.
Definitely. You mentioned that your dad's a Rastafarian. Were you raised as a Rastafarian?
Yes. I still like, I don't eat pork, I don't eat shellfish, things like that. Like I still take those qualities of my younger life with me still. I don't, I'm not a practicing Rastafarian. I did used to have dreadlocks before, it all went away. But yeah, he pretty much, he really wanted us to have a belief in God, faith, family. So wasn't like hardcore Rastafarian. Like I wouldn't be able to list off rules and everything like that. Mostly from what I took away from it from a younger from my childhood, we were together as a family. We didn't have much. We have each other, and we have God. So that's pretty much how the things I took away from it. Like we gather together on Saturdays and we pray, and we do it as a family. So yeah, that was, and like again, I still keep some things, like that's my childhood, that the not eating pork and shellfish and things like that, I still take with me. I wasn't gonna just start doing that now, but yeah.
What's the reason for the shellfish? I understand the pork, but the shellfish, what's up with that?
So they it's funny, at the firehouse they ask me this all the time, like I'm like, I don't eat pork, I don't eat shellfish, and they're like, why? I'm like, and this is the middle of us eating, and I'm always like, I don't really want to say while we're eating, because you might be disgusted, but I guess the reasoning behind it was shellfish are any kind of like bottom feeders. They're eating kind of like the scum, the dead bacteria, things like that. So that internally makes them unclean animals. That's just the way I took away from it. I mean, if somebody out there is hearing this and feels that I'm way off base, but that's just the way I took away from it. That's the way my father would talk to me about it, and just like the uncleanliness of it was the reason.
Yeah, don't worry about the people that are gonna tell you like,
no,
you're wrong. Like that's your truth.
Yeah. I try to be as honest as possible, but I'm not an expert in any things. I just I know some things. I don't know everything. I'm not an expert. So
Yeah, I mean, you never claim that you are anyway,
Yeah.
but that's your truth, and that's
Yeah.
what you learned from your dad, who's
Yeah.
actually a Rastafarian.
Yeah. 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 He was an intense. He is. I mean, he's still alive. He isn't. He was an intense man during my childhood. Very strict. Oh boy, very strict. Yeah. It was something that I was growing up. I loved being around him. He was just like this. Growing up around him, it was especially in New York in the projects around the 90s. He was just this. He stood out a lot. He would wear sunglasses at night. He'd have dreadlocks. Sometimes he'd go out covering his entire face with sunglasses, and it was very intimidating. People did not fuck with him when he was like that. Yeah, he always wore sunglasses. That was his thing. It was
This
fun.
thing. You mentioned dreadlocks. I know a little bit about that, but for the people that doesn't know, what's the significance of the dreadlocks?
Um, Let me try to recall this. It's I think the locks now are, a lot of people use them as they've come back in more into fashion. But as growing up, it's like a kind of like a source of power. The connection to the earth and the Lord. It's just kind of just like this is the natural way you're supposed to be. So yeah, that's I was. Me and my locks I had a difficult connection with them because I was bullied for them. I was bullied pretty intensely for that. So it's not something that I was at the time I was super proud of because it caused me a lot of distress. People would bully me and pretty meanly too. Kids could be pretty mean about it.
What did they say, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, they would anything in the world that I would smell. It was like they would just really mean that. Sometimes they would pull on my hair. They would. I remember it was one boy, like a really almost like if somebody else didn't step in, like we were on a bus and like I was sitting behind and he like tried to light my locks on fire. Actually,
Whoa!
yeah, he because I didn't really notice.
Yeah.
He was back and he like kind of like he had a lighter to it and then I'm like really, come on, that's terrible. I mean, but kids can be very vicious and I'm very anti-bullying because as somebody who got bullied pretty intensely as a kid, it was rough. It was a rough childhood. So if you never know what a little kid's going through. So if you take your time to be kind to them, they could be going through, family issues at home. They could be having like a rough life at home, and then to like go to school only to be treated in a mean way. Is just they don't have any respite. They don't have any kind of break. It's just back and forth, and it's pretty hard for them.
Definitely. And I guess you're not allowed to fight back.
Well, I was never a fighter. My oldest brother, he didn't take any shit. So he was something, and he was bullied just the same. We all had dreadlocks. He was bullied just the same, and he would definitely fight back. He got suspended a few times. But being myself, I was always the nice, quiet kid. Kind of shy. Didn't really ruffle any feathers. So I kind of just kind of rolled with the punches with it. Kind of accepted it. I mean, I did have after a while, I made friends who were, thank God, they were a little bit tougher, for lack of better words, than I was, and they stood up for me and they made sure I was good and safe, and I'm still good friends with a few of them to this day, and I always thank them for sticking up for me because I wasn't doing it for myself. I was just I was a kid. I was just wanted to go to school and come home and the regular thing. But when they saw somebody kind of going at it at me, and they would just step in. And I think that's, I grew up in the projects. That was like the kind of closeness that, we had, because we were all coming from, the same place. It has its own issues, but you would find people that you just connected with on that level. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
here we are. We're kids. Here we are, and let's just kind of get through this.
Yeah, there's a community.
Absolutely. I mean, it does have it has its issues, and it has a lot of problems. But I did have a community of people that, I would go to my friend's house who was like across the street, and their family took me in. They
Mm-hmm.
called me their son. It was like it was family there, and just if I didn't have any food at home, I would go over there, and like they would feed me.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good experience. I want to say good time. It was a good experience, like to grow and learn and just really connect with people. And they see me now, and they see the struggles that we had growing up and everything that we had to go through, and they see me now, and it's just the pride that they have in me is, it just kind of like, it gets to me. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I'm assuming that they feel like they made it too.
well, some of them, yes, some of them have uh um they were able to beat the odds and get out of it. Thankfully, most of the people that I know have made a better life for themselves after what the cards that we were dealt. But unfortunately, that's not the hand everybody's dealt, and
Hmm.
some people have a different path, for better or worse.
Hmm. I want to go back a little bit of the dreadlocks,
Yeah,
because you know how some Caucasian people has dreadlocks, and a lot of people gets mad like, why are you wearing dreadlocks? It means something to us, this and that
yeah,
and
yeah.
whatever. What's your opinion about that?
Um, you know, I I think maybe, as being mixed, right? Back in the day where I'm trying to figure out, if I'm black, if I'm white, and this, that, I probably would have had a stronger opinion about it. But now it's one of those things. It's like, as long as you are a good person, and you know you treat people right the way they're supposed to, at the end of the day, it's just hair. It's just,
Mm.
it doesn't really have any bearing on this world. If there's a white person who wants to be a Rastafarian or a Christian or whatever, and as long as you're a good person, as long as you have a good soul and you treat people right, and you do the right things, that's what's really important. Everything else is just noise. To me, everything else is just, um, yeah, just be a good person. It really doesn't matter who you are or what you follow. Be a
Mm.
good person, and don't. We have more in common with each other than we have different. When you start talking to somebody who you think is different than you, when you realize it, the stories that they've had are very similar to the stories that you've had, and the family upbringing that they had, a very family, like, the stories can interconnect, and that's what's kind of missing in society, the actual dialogue, engaging with people on a level that you're both able to share and come away from that conversation much more enriched than when you started with it. So yeah, at the end of the day, like, be a good person, and that's all that matters to me at the end of the day.
Exactly. You keep on mentioning that you grew up in the projects.
Mhm.
I'm well. Dad was selling and mom was selling jewelry.
Yes.
Was there like a did they have a job that is constant and stable?
Well, my mother got her master's degree, and she became a teacher, a New York City public school teacher. So she was the one working. My father stayed at home and, again, made jewelry and watched out, took care of us. Again, there were 7 of us, so we're 3 years apart. So every 3 years there would be a new Pickering.
It's
Um,
exactly 3 years
and
apart.
we're exactly 3 years apart, every single one of us.
Did they plan that?
I have no idea. It's just the way it turned out. So it's so whenever like I'm really pretty bad with ages. So like it's like, oh hey, how old are they? I go from me and then I start working backwards. So but yeah, they my father stayed home, he took care of us at home. My mother would go to work, she's a public school teacher. I just remember her from what a very young age. We started on welfare, and then when my mother started working more and was able to, get a little bit more money, we were able to break off of that. And then, still a little bit of struggles, whatever. And then, we're able to kind of like incrementally step up from welfare, living in the projects, to moving on, getting out and making a name for ourselves.
Mm-hmm. You don't have kids, right? Do you?
I do not. I do not have kids.
Are you planning to have one someday?
I'm not planning it, but God willing, one day that'll happen, and hopefully I will be a good father to them, and just do the best I can. One thing I've learned is, when our parents were raising us, they really had no idea what they were doing. They were kind of just winging it.
Mm-hmm.
And they were doing the best they could, but they just had no idea what they're doing sometimes. So taking that into consideration, I'll just, if God willing I have kids, I'll just do the best I can, and just be a good father, be a good man, and a good role model.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's just trying. I'm sure there are people that kind of know what they're doing.
Yeah, yeah.
But in the end, no one's know what they're doing, to be honest. They're just like, it's either you go right or you go left. You go left, you question, oh, I should have went right.
Yeah, yeah. You could have a plan. But at the end of the day, it's out of your hands.
Mm-hmm.
Things will happen the way they will. And again, just, like you said, just showing up, being there. That's what's important. There's always those like core memories that kind of stick out, and it's silly, but kindergarten graduation, where like you go from kindergarten to the first grade. In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't mean much, but as a kid, I just remember my mom like seeing me and standing up and waving with a big smile, and I'm just like, so excited that she's here. And we were supposed to be like kind of like silent and just walking down. I just broke up. I'm like, I hate that, waving back, because just the excitement was there. Just showing up and doing the best you can. I think that's what my parents tried to do for me. Just being there, being supportive, trying to juggle their lives that they have, and then 7 of us. It could not have been easy with individual personalities and struggles and expenses. God bless the fact that we are who they are. I always say that I have no story unless my family story is a part of it. Like, I am who I am. I didn't get here by myself. My family, my entire family, not just my parents, all of us, we come together for everything and just kind of hammer out the details and work things through. Every single one of us, if my sister or my brothers call me, I'm there for them, and vice versa. We're a family. That's what it is. But I mean, and that's how it is for us. Like, we have a couple of cousins, but we don't have like the large extended family that a lot of people have. So it's super, super tight knit, super close. Yeah.
With the kind of childhood that you had, is that where you think the imposter syndrome come from?
I try to kind of nail it down. I'm not sure if it's from growing up that way. I just don't think it was. It could be because I was told a lot as a kid, by other kids against bullying and stuff, that I wasn't smart enough, I wasn't good enough, and just things kind of compounded where I would start to believe that for myself, and like I kind of just gave up sometimes, but I was always very, very smart. I was always witty and able to pick up on things. Um, when I went for my master's degree at Columbia University, that's when it really, really kicked in, the imposter syndrome. Not only because one, I didn't think I was be able to get in, but I was also surrounded by people who I was listening to the stories, and they have gone to really prestigious schools, and they were traveling the world and going on safaris, and just having a really intense life experience that I had not yet experienced. I made the mistake of trying to compare it to my life, and um, I was like, these people are doing this, and like what do I have? I'm just a kid from the projects who's just trying to make it. But that's when it really kicked in. And nothing against my cohort in Columbia. They were great. They were very supportive, very, you know, engaging, and I learned so much, and I hope they learned the exact amount from me. The Department of Philosophy and Education over there. It was one of the best experiences I've had in my life. It was just, and it challenged me to like really, really think. It was just I would go home exhausted from it, which was like I loved it. It was just I'd be exhausted, and I feel like I learned so much from it. But the imposter syndrome was there. I think that's there was a point where I was considering, giving up on it. Because I was like, whatever. I'm going into the fire department anyway. I don't need this. But like for myself, I needed to complete my if I set something out, I needed to complete it, no matter how long it took.
What
Um,
kept you going?
it was just, I did take a break. I did take a break from finishing, and it was just like a heavy weight on me. Every single day there'd be something like telling me that I need to finish what I started out for, and I needed to, to do it for myself, not for anybody else. Just do it for yourself because you started it, you need to finish it, and you're good. You were good at it. Just keep going, and whatever happens will happen. But you have to push through. You can't. You could stumble, but don't quit. But yeah, so I kept going. And the assistance that I received from encouragement, and just understanding my situation of feeling like I didn't belong there, or I was going to go start a new path in my life. They understood it, and then they made me realize that I did belong there. I did belong, and I was good, and I was smart, and I could continue my other path also, but it's something that I needed to finish now. I owe it to myself to finish.
How are we doing with the imposter syndrome now?
The imposter syndrome now, it's not as loud as it was back then. It still kind of lingers, because I try to be a little bit humble about myself. I don't try to be braggadocious. I don't try to say I did this, and that. However, there are I always every so often people will come up to me, and they will let me know how much of an inspiration I've been to them, and they will let me know that they follow me, and they try to live up to the standard that I set. I don't try to say, this, here I am, but they try to live up to the standard that I set, and it pushes them to be better. So knowing that, I try to keep a high standard. I try to keep myself as a beacon of doing what's right and good. I'm not always perfect, but I do my best to do that. Every day I try to make myself a little bit better.
Like exercising, reading books.
Yeah, exercising, I do a lot of journaling, self-reflection. I try to not for anybody else to know who you got to know thyself. You got to know who you are and know that, we're a different person every day. That, no, you can't step in the same river twice. Every time you're learning and growing and changing, you're a different person than you were the person before. So the direction that you're going in, it should be in a way that is good and what's right. Sticking to the morals that you set for yourself.
Do you believe in God still?
I'm very agnostic. I believe in, a higher power. I'm not very religious, but I believe that there is something up there. There's a saying that there's no atheists in foxholes. So at the end of your days, you're gonna believe in something. So I if there's something up there, I'm thankful for the life that I've had, because I know if I was in the if I had the reins in this, it would just be it would be going off course. So whatever higher power is up there, if you want to call it God or the source, energy, love, whatever name you want to have for it, there's something vibrating in this universe that we probably have no comprehension of. But there has for me, I feel like there has to be, the idea that this is just completely random speck in time, and everything else is just kind of going by the wayside. It's a little bit strange to believe.
I read that you had a melanoma spot removed. How's that experience?
Yes, that was something that I I had a spot on my foot, the bottom of my foot.
Who do you think you are, Bob Marley?
Bob Marley, yeah, he had a spot. He had a spot on his toe that he didn't get diagnosed. Like he thought it was like a soccer incident or something, and then yeah, it spread to the rest of his body. So thank God I was able to address it. I addressed it fairly early, and then no problem since. I try to get regular checkups to make sure that nothing else pops up, but so far so good. But yeah, I wouldn't say I was like afraid or anything. Like I kind of just figured that, let me get this taken care of, and let's, keep the ball rolling, keep pushing.
So, what did it look like? How did you figure out that I need to get this checked?
Well, I didn't figure it out. One of my friends kind of pointed it out. I thought it was just a birthmark. And somebody just saw the spot on my bottom of my foot. I think we were at a pool or something, and they were like, "You need to get that taken care of." And I'm like, I've had it for a while. And yeah, I thought it was like, just a birthmark, but little did I know it wasn't. So like, I think I just one day I randomly, I think it was pretty random. I went to the dermatologist. I was like, what about this spot? What about this spot on my hands and things like that? Like something very minor, just whatever. And I was like, one more thing. Can you check this thing on the bottom of my foot? And then they were like, oh, let's really take a look at that. So that they got a biopsy for that. And yeah, I ended up having to get it lasered off. Very simple procedure. Yeah, nothing too crazy. And it was caught fairly early.
But what did it look like, or the texture like, that made your friend, or obviously the dermatologist, like, oh, this is not bueno?
Yeah, it was like it's kind of like, it looked like a beauty mark, right? Like, how small they can be, but it was probably like maybe like the half of a pinky nail, maybe a quarter of a pinky nail in size. So it wasn't just like a little spot. It was just, it was there. It was and it was like the outside edges were kind of jagged. So that's what caused them to have concern. And they took a biopsy. It turned out it was, a melanoma, and they took care of it pretty quickly. So yeah, I'm glad it was just like, it wasn't a long drawn out process where it spread to the rest of me, which is a possibility. But yeah, I'm glad it was like in and out.
And now you're good?
Yeah, no, everything's good. Everything's fine.
Can you go under the sun for a long time, or you're not supposed to?
Well, it didn't. The thing is, it didn't come from the sun. It was just kind of a genetic thing. It was on the bottom of my foot. I'm not out there, shining my feet in the sun. Yeah, but I do take precautions now. I do a lot of SPF. Even if I moisturize my face, I make sure I have SPF in it. And not only that, I want to like try to protect my skin. As we're getting older, I want to try to keep it as healthy as possible.
Mm-hmm. You gotta moisturize, man.
Yeah, I'm not a young buck anymore. So I gotta try to keep the face, the money maker, as they say.
You're so good looking. How old are you?
I am 34 years old.
Young buck. Yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
man. I'm 40.
Oh well, God bless you. You look young, brother.
Thank you.
As young as we feel.
Hells yeah. Cheers to that.
Cheers.
Though I'm drinking water because I am doing sober November.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. I do it every year since I think since 2017 or 18 I started it.
Oh, God bless you, brother.
Yeah. So I always like write down 10 goals to do for that month and I crush it.
Nice.
Yeah, like obviously no alcohol, which sucks.
Yeah. But like until the holidays are coming around, even though like they're right around the corner, before you know it, it's gonna be Christmas in New York. And it's a blinking of an eye. It kind of just passes by.
Mm-hmm, definitely. 9 years as a firefighter. Did you always want to be a firefighter?
So 9 years as a firefighter, I think I definitely, it bounced back and forth when, again, like native New Yorker. I think when 9/11 happened, I was in middle school. So I definitely saw the bravery and the sacrifice that the people in uniform made for the city. And I think it was around that time where, I just like my eyes were open when like people are just, really giving their all for the city, really, really giving it to it. And then when I went to high school, my path kind of like went a few different ways. I was into sports, I was going to go to college, things like that. And then when I was graduating, I received a scholarship from this family he was a firefighter, Nicholas Rosamondo. They gave me a scholarship to go to college with, and just hearing his story, he was in Rescue 5 on Staten Island. They lost, pretty sure they lost their entire company.
Woo.
And I think he was going home, and instead of going home and he saw everything, he went in. He still followed. He still answered the call. And unfortunately, he paid the ultimate sacrifice. The family that gave me the scholarship, I had no personal connection to 9/11. I didn't lose anybody. Even though my brother and my mother were, my mother worked in Brooklyn and my brother went to Stuyvesant, which is right down there. It wasn't until I received the scholarship that I actually had a connection to 9/11, to firefighters. And, it was something that, I was honored. I was honored to receive it and, hear his story. And now, and then from that point after, it was like, well, now I need to live up to the standard that they saw in me. So I feel like since that moment, I was, determined to, do the things that are right and good and, honorable. And then I went to college, and then when I came back, I had the opportunity to take the fire department test, and I did, and I was able to go in one of the very first classes, 2014.
The school program, how long does it take?
The academy is 18 weeks, Monday to Friday, 18 weeks. It was very intense, very intense. It was just, I think I went in January, and it was one of the coldest winters we had. It was just Monday to Friday for 18 weeks. There was nor'easters and blizzards, and I could close my eyes and remember like hail just hitting us. And the drill instructors are very tough, but they were very tough in the middle of a snowstorm. It's just so our class is called the Frozen Few. It
I
was just
love
like
it.
it was just like every day, just trudging through the snow, running through the snow, doing the drills through the snow. And
What kind of drills?
so we go through pretty much everything a firefighter would have to do, like stretch a hose line, drag a body, the dummies, drag a dummy, go through it. We had obstacle courses, climb ladders. We do this thing where we call a roof rope rescue and a single slide off of a roof. So we're on top of a roof, we're tying ourselves in, and then we kind of just rappel off of a roof. And if you can't do that, then this is not the job for you.
In
So
the middle of winter?
well, yeah, no, yeah, because you gotta do the job no matter what. Rain, snow, in blistering heat, you got to do the job. There's
Of
no breaks
course.
about it.
Did you ever think of that World Firefighter games? You ever thought of joining?
Yeah, I've a couple of guys in my firehouse have participated in it,
Hmm.
but I look at the games, and I'm like, I can't do any of these.
What are you talking about? You're like,
They would crush me. Oh no, I'm thinking of something different. I'm thinking of the police firefighter games where it's just firefighters from around the world and cops from around the world. They kind of compete with each other. I've never done that. I think I know what you're talking about, where they do.
they do the hose. They run with the
they
hose.
do the drills and things like that. I never really had interest in kind of doing that. Working downtown. Right, my house is right across the street from the World Trade Center, directly across the street. Working downtown, doing the job, being with the brothers, that alone is enough for me to be a firefighter. I'm good at my job. I going out there and doing the police. It never intrigued me to do it.
You work for the Ladder 10?
Ladder 10, yes.
Which is close to the World Trade Center, as you mentioned.
Engine 10, Ladder 10, the 10 house.
What's the difference with ladder and engine? What's up with that?
So the engine company they're the ones who have the fire hose on it. They have water in the rig. So when they pull up, they're the ones spraying the water. The ladder company does search and rescue operations. We go in, we don't have a hose line, we're doing a search. We're looking for where the body of fire is, and we are trying to see if there are any victims to bring out. So while we're doing that, the engine company, it's like controlled chaos. Like we're weaving in and out. We're going to do the search and rescue. We're trying to find out where the fire is, so we can tell the engine company, hey, the fire is in the back room over there. You go do that. So they go take care of it, and then we continue doing a search to see if anybody's passed out or needs some assistance.
Did you decide to go with the ladder, or can you choose?
No. When you're kind of just assigned straight out of the academy, and I love being in the ladder company. It's a lot of I love it. It's just there's nothing I can compare to it.
I'm sure there are a few brave men that responded to the September 11 attack from your ladder.
Yeah. We both our companies responded, and we lost 5 guys.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. Does that give you extra pressure to be excellent at all times?
Well, I think to be excellent at all times, really comes from the brotherhood that you have in your firehouse, because people are not only people in the city are depending on you, the brothers in your house, the brothers and sisters in your house are depending on you. They want to go home too. They have families at home, and if you're half-assing it, if you're doing a halfway job or you're not prepared, it's not only you're not only just affecting yourself, or the people in New York, you're affecting the people that you work with. And, you know, we're a very close house. We're a very tight-knit community. And, you know, you want to do a job. You want to show up and do your job every single time, for everybody that's depending on you and yourself. That what you want to do at the end of the day is you want to go to work. And this goes for anybody in uniform. You want to show up to work, do your job, and make it home. That you want to make it home at the end of the day. That's all anybody really asks for.
Definitely. Do you have a coworker that you don't like, and you're like, it's hard to deal with?
No. I mean, it's like a family. You know, we I think being a firefighter is a little bit different than other jobs because we talk about it. We talk it through. You know, it could get intense. It could get intense. But at the end of the day, you know, we're all family. We're all family in the fire department.
Does it get boring when there's no call?
No, because you know you're doing other things. You're either, you know, I've been studying a lot. You know, the last couple of months. You're studying. You're drilling. If there's usually a new guy in your house. You know, we call them probies. And you gotta. They haven't seen the operations that you've seen, so you should be taking them aside and going through the tools and going through the drills and going through the operations that you've personally seen and just passing on the knowledge. So when they face the situation and like say you're off or something and they go into that situation, they're like, oh, okay, I know exactly what to do. I've drilled on this, I've done it. And then, you know, we drill, we study, you know, we do this, we have meals together. You know, a lot of us, you know, we go out shopping, we cook the meals together, we chop it up, we sit down together as a family. And, you know, if there's a call that comes in the middle of everything, we drop it all, you know, head out to the call, then come back, eat some cold food, and then, you know, ready to go.
I always thought that's like there's a batch, like the batch can stay and there's a batch that leaves.
No. It's all just, you know, leave it as it is, you know, go out, do what you're supposed to do, and then come back, and then, you know, cold food can be just as tasty.
Well, it's the company that makes it good.
Yeah. You know, it's more about, you know, just doing it together. That's really where the camaraderie happens, where you're talking to each other and, you know, just things are happening all over the kitchen. And, you know, you want to be there. You want to experience it. When there's a lot of people there, it's like the energy's there. I mean, you could do that. I mean, you don't want to have pizza, right? You know, there's nothing personal about it. There's nothing that's really satisfying. There's a difference where you're having a long conversation with, you know, one of the young guys and like, oh, you know, where are you from? Catching up with them, trying to figure out who they are. Who's the person that came into your house? And, you know, they turn to find out they grew up in the same neighborhood as you. They go to the same school as you. That's the great thing about New York and New York City firefighters in general. Like we're from the city. We're from, you know, we have shared experiences. So that's what helps us, you know, get along and go along.
You care.
Yeah. Care about everyone who's a firefighter deeply cares about the city, which I do. I love this city. This city has given me and my family and so many opportunities, and I love serving it in the way that I do. It is the greatest city in the world. Just the energy, the people. There's something very special about it, and I love the fact that I'm able to be a firefighter in New York City, putting my life and body on the line for the city that I love, for the people that I love. I might not even have met the person. It doesn't matter who it is. You know, when there's a call, I'm gonna go, and because New Yorkers, you know, we stick together through thick and thin.
Speaking of saving bodies and whatnot, what's the most intense moment you ever had as a firefighter?
Well, you know, they all have their moments. I'm trying to balance between we have this thing where, especially, you know, my firehouse and everything, we don't really do this thing where we're exchanging stories and, you know, kind of going through the detail. I can say every time I go on a call, there's a part of me that has fear, that I feel like everybody experiences the same thing, just because anything could happen at any moment. You could be a veteran, and these things happen, like you just the most random occurrence of event could happen, and somebody can lose their life. You could do everything right, and still that happens. So every time I go on a call, there is a small part of fear that maybe maybe I won't make it home. I don't it's not in the forefront of my mind, but it is always there. When I'm at a major operation and I come back, I could have had that in the back of my mind. And then when I reflect on everything that happened, that's when I kind of have to take a deep breath and be thankful that, everything worked out the way it is, because it's, there are times where things can get pretty intense. And, and that's why we have the brothers around us. That's why we have, people that are veterans and have been there before, to like especially when I was a first year guy, when I was a Probian, I would, deer in the headlights, just kind of like, what the fuck? there would be this guy who just heavy hand on the shoulder, take a deep breath, stick with me, we'll get you through this, kind of thing. And that was me back then. Hopefully I'm trying to be that guy now, just because there sometimes things, again, it's like controlled chaos. Things are happening all the time, and you have to remain calm in every situation. If you're not calm, you're not thinking, and you have to be able to think. You have to be able to think it through.
Have you had an operation that a life was lost?
I'm not gonna speak about that, so I'm gonna pass for that one.
Sure, for sure. You receive a medal and a unit citation for life-saving efforts. You want to talk about
that? I'll just say that briefly. Those both are for water rescues, and it wasn't just me personally. It was all of us operating together as a company. We're really, really good at it. So, it's a great, quick operation, and, the entire company is the reason why those things went smoothly.
By the way, congratulations.
No, thank you. Thank you.
When traumatic things happen, how do you deal with it? Do you go to therapy, or I know you journal, you said?
Yeah. So that is one of the things where, I know a lot of firefighters have a struggle with. So we number one thing is, after everything major that happens, we all come back to the firehouse, and we all talk about it. We talk about what happened, where, because people are separated throughout, places in the operation. So we come back, and we all get on the same page to figure out what happened, to what can we do better, and things like that. And, just your general experience, like how'd you feel, like what was going on. So that is like, I feel like that's, the level one of it. The main way I deal with it is I journal a lot. I write out my feelings. I don't really, to people who are not in the fire department, I don't really talk to them about it, because it's kind of hard to make the connection. It's really not easy to go through, my emotions and things like that with people that wouldn't really understand it on the level I do. So I do journal a lot. And for a lot of the times, I kind of just, if something happens, I have to kind of just roll with the punches and put it out of my mind as best as possible. That's how I do it. Just kind of, because, especially when you're working here, and you still have the rest of the day to go through. You can't dwell on one thing. You're still in service. You still have to keep going. So you can't dwell on it. and get back to work. And then afterwards, make sure you reflect on it. Make sure you experience. Make sure you're aware of the experiences that you had.
Those people that does the investigation on fire, are they police or are they firemen? What are they?
They're both. They're the fire marshals. They are firefighters who are that's like our police. They're fire marshals. So they do the investigations afterwards to, figure out the cause and things like that. So yeah, they're kind of both.
Okay. How come sometimes firefighters respond first before the ambulance?
So
And I'm not talking about fire. Just like
yeah. No. The engine company, they do an EMS. They respond to EMS calls. So we're all CFR certified first responders. Defibrillation, things like that. So the engine always goes to the call, and there's a lot of firehouses scattered throughout the area. An ambulance can be, on a different call or anything, but the firehouses, they're very stationary, so we're able to like zip right there. So we initiate the response, and then when the ambulance comes, they take over. Yeah, it's like teamwork kind of thing.
Okay. Have you ever saved a cat from a tree?
So working in downtown Manhattan, there's not a lot of trees, but I have a puppy from smoke. I've done those. So, but not a cat. I gotta. That's on the bucket list. I gotta check that one off.
Okay, I just want to know. You don't have to answer if you don't want to. When you see a burning building, what do you tell yourself? You need to go inside there.
There's not even a second thought. There's not even a second thought. My main thought is not that I have to go inside. It's what part of the building do I have to go inside from? What's my position? Do I have to go onto the roof? Do I have to go into the front door? What floor am I supposed to be on? Those are the thoughts that are going through my mind. I don't have time to stop and think like, holy shit, look at the burning building. It's more like trying to analyze the whole thing at one point and just figuring out where you're supposed to be. If you're not, that's the thoughts that you should be having. What position you are, where you're supposed to be in the building, and then get to where you're supposed to be going. I don't really have time to take it all in. Now, again, like I said, afterwards, when the reflection comes in, that's when the holy shit, that was a lot. That was intense. That's when those thoughts are able to come through, but not before.
Have you had a moment that you saved someone and you'll be like, I should have saved this one? Maybe like a drug addict, or you know what I mean?
No. Those things, again, like everybody's a New Yorker, not just me personally. Like this is our first priority is life. It doesn't matter who you are. You could be, anything, doesn't matter. None of that matters. We're going to save lives.
I love it. Oh, one question. Because in my area, we have the firefighter day.
Yeah.
We celebrate them and whatever. And they told us that when you're sleeping, you should close the door.
Yes. You should always close the door when you're sleeping and when you're leaving your apartment for anything like that. If you say like your apartment's, smoking on fire and you leave, don't leave the door open because, that it only intensifies the fire. Because if there's a window open, we call it flow path. It just, the air kind of flows through the apartment and just takes it from one place to another. But if the door's closed, that gives a little prevention from the fire kind of spreading to the next room.
So what if you wake up in the middle of the night, your house is on fire, you're on the second floor, and the main floor is on fire? What should I do?
So it depends on what kind of building you're in. If you're in like a fireproof building, a lot of the times your best cause of action is if you're in a fireproof building, your best cause of action is to stay where you are. It's like these like the high rises building, like you're in downtown Manhattan, where the fire doesn't have a chance to spread. But if you're in a private dwelling or a residential house where there's a chance fire is spreading, If you're able to make it out, of course, get out as safely. If you're not able to make it out, close the door, because close the door and that will prevent the fire from spreading, to where you are.
Close the door. What if the house is burning?
Well, if you can get out, like I said, if you can get out the house safely, obviously do it.
Oh,
But
okay.
if your egress is impeded by fire, and you cannot make it out of the house, take refuge, make sure the door's separating you from the fire, and then, attempt to escape from the window. If you can't, if you're on an upper level, then that's when we come in with our ladders and everything like that to make the rescue.
Man, sometimes I think of one of my kids, and one of them is like, look at them, they're not doing anything. They're just sitting there and doing push-ups and shit, I'm like, yeah, right now they're not.
Yeah,
but when
yeah.
they get cold, they get cold.
So, well, we're always doing something, either where if you guys see us like talking on the street corner or something like that, a lot of the times what we do is we do building inspections, and then we'll see a building and, kind of mentally drill, what would we do in this kind of situation? If this building was on fire, what are you going to do? And then talk through it. We're always preparing, we're always planning. And again, if he sees us doing push-ups, we got to stay physically fit. We got to make sure that, our bodies are ready for the job.
Mm-hmm. So sometimes fire engines, they go through traffic. But sometimes you think like, I don't think there's a fire. I think they're just going through the traffic.
Every time those emergency lights are on, it is for a very good reason. Either because we're not only going to fires, we're going to, there's, we do a lot of emergencies, gas leaks, elevator emergencies, water leaks, subway. There's a lot of subway incidents here, so it's not always gonna be fire. So even if you don't smell it, but the reason, if those lights are on, it's for a reason. So
if it's not on,
get it out of the way.
You just.
If it's not on, then if we're not in emergency mode, then we're just sitting in traffic like the rest of people.
Sometimes you turn it on. Because sometimes you're like sitting there and like.
I don't know. Not in my experience.
Anyway, so man, I love this conversation. I learned so much. But before we close out, one more question.
Yeah.
You've been through hell and back, quite literally. Having said that, what's the most important life lesson you've learned that you can share with others?
The most important life lesson I could say, we're all amazing people in our own individual rights. Every time that you look at yourself in the mirror, every time that you're with friends or family, be proud of those moments, be proud of yourself. I spent years beating myself up, not being proud of who I am, but we're all beautiful on the inside. We're all beautiful, special, unique individuals. There is not going to be anyone else like the person that you are ever in history. So take that as something special. You have something unique to bring to this world. And it's your obligation to show your unique individuality. And like I said before, being kind to the people around you, being a good person, sticking to your morals, your family, your friends, whatever you believe in, stick strong to those and be good. Lead with love. That's if I have to leave one thing, lead with love. Love everybody around you.
Wise word from a wise man. Again, Jahsee, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Definitely. Have a good evening.
You too. Thank you.
Again, Jahsee, thank you for coming on the podcast. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, listeners, for listening. This is Aaron Deliosa for An Immigrant's Life. I'll see you guys later.